Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Joseph from Screenbyte, and I have a question for you. When it comes to cameras, what's arguably the most important part? If you guessed the lens, you're absolutely right. I'm an avid believer that unless you have some quality glass in front of that sensor, your camera can have all the features that it wants, but you'll hardly ever get a decent image out of it. And that's honestly where the dilemma is. You go out, spend all your hard-earned money on that brand new camera, and you're stuck with a kit lens. If you get a lens at all. Now, not saying there's anything particularly wrong with the kit lens, but you can hardly call those quality glass. So, you go online to shop for a replacement and your jaw drops. Lenses are freaking expensive. Some are even more expensive than the camera bodies themselves. For example, let's say the Sigma 18 to 35mm f1.8. Fantastic lens, upwards of $800. And that's just the entry point for quality glass. Don't even get me started on Canon's L line. So, what are you gonna do? I guess it's time to start saving up that money again, right? Well, yeah, but what if I told you that's not your only option? Check this thing out. This is a Canon 50mm f1.4. It's a lens from back in the 70s that I picked up with a couple of other FD mount lenses back when I purchased my AE1. It's a nice little lens, and here's the thing. None of these lenses costed me more than $50. And to my surprise, when I was looking online, I discovered an adapter that you could put on the back of it and put right on my modern camera. And that got me thinking of an experiment. Are classic vintage lenses a viable option for up-and-coming filmmakers as well as people that are just starting out? And do they have a place in the modern 2016 camera bag? Let's find out. Now, to make this comparison fair, I chose two lenses with the same focal distance, the aforementioned Canon 50mm f1.4 FD and the nifty 50, the Canon 50mm f1.8. Now, these lenses have more than 30 years between them. So, let's take some shots and see how they compare. Alright, so let's go ahead and start off with the vintage lens here. As you can see, it produces a lovely image. The color is fantastic, and for a really old lens, this thing is pretty darn sharp. You can clearly see the lines cutting out from that nice background, nice and blurred. Alright, and moving into a 300% crop here gives you a little bit more detail into that sharpness, which once again looks pretty darn sharp for an old lens. You can see it has a little bit of blur, but that's to be expected. Alrighty, and now we're going to move on to the modern lens, the nifty 50 here. As you can see, pretty darn sharp. Not gonna lie, I still like the color reproduction on the older lens, but this is still a pretty dang good image. Alrighty, and 300% crop on the nifty 50. You can see it's a little bit less sharp, actually. It still looks pretty darn good, but yeah. And very quickly, before we move on to the next section, I just want to go ahead and show you a side-by-side of the two images for yourself. Heads up, I like the one on the left. Alright, so now let's do some rack focusing. So this is where the old lens really starts to show its age. Wasn't made with video in mind, so focusing is honestly pretty hard. This is the new lens now. From what you can see, pretty darn smooth, back and forth. The image looks a little bit better in my opinion, but that could just be the lighting. But yeah, this is definitely the winner here. And a lens shootout would not be complete without a cat. So I'm gonna leave this up to you guys. Which one of these two clips is the old and which one's the new? Leave a comment down below with your answer. Now, after putting these lenses head to head, I do have a few gripes with using the vintage one. Number one, it is pretty hard to pull focus accurately. Two, since the lens adapter actually has an extra lens element in it, it does zoom the image a little bit more than the standard focal length. And when you're already in a tiny room on a cropped sensor, that's no bueno. Also, number 3, and this might be a deal breaker for some, these old lenses cannot be shot wide open for some reason. As you can see, if you put the lens on f1.4, for example, and let all the light in, it creates this weird dreamy effect, kind of blurry, kind of like you rubbed it with like a little bit of Vaseline or something like that. To be honest, I'm not quite sure what causes this, but unless this is the look that you're going for, you're going to want to stick to around f2.8. Now once again, we're going to be going into personal opinion territory, but I really believe that these lenses produce a lovely image. Now they're nowhere near as sharp as the more premium glass out there, and that's to be expected. Lens makers have had plenty of time to perfect their craft. But I still feel that if you were to go out and buy one today, you'd be getting plenty of bang for your buck. And if for all this you still don't believe me, this entire video was shot on one. And that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you again for watching. As always, if you liked it, make sure to show it by leaving a like down below. Really helps me out. And if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, make sure to subscribe for more great content. I hope you have yourself a great day. So, as you can see in front of me, I have a very big box, as well as a cat trying to climb up it. Anyway, what we are looking at here is actually a brand new monitor.